As the world turns, Brandon Aiyuk might be on his way out. Every day it's something new. That's probably going to take up most of this show, if I'm being honest. I think there's a lot to discuss here. And there is some camp things that I want to discuss as well, since I got my camp partner with me. That being said, we're going to discuss that plus more, and we're going to do it all next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And it's Monday night, which means I got my guy, Coach, in the building. This is a little weird not having you right here next to me, but here we are, man. How you doing?
What up? What's good, man? Hey, first show back in the studios. It was awesome, but being home is awesome too. So I'm good. We were a little road weary, bro.
Yeah, we definitely were, man. You got, I'm hearing mad echo. I don't know if that's all right. There it is, a little better. Yeah, we definitely were, and you got screwed with the layovers. You had like 6 delays on your flight. Didn't get home till midnight. You were supposed to be home at like 7. That was wild.
Man, like laid over in Tennessee, stopped off, and we already had like the 2.5 hour layover. So I'm like, man, all right, well, I'm not going to sit in a hotel. I mean, I'm not going to sit in the airport for damn near 3 hours. I'm gonna get out, get some barbecue, hop in an Uber. You know what I'm saying? Lickety split, make it back. So I'm eating, and I see the first delay pop up, and I'm like, all right, extra 30 minutes, extra hour. It's nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? And on the way back, you get there, and right when we get on the plane, there's another delay right on the plane. So I'm like, all right, we're 2 delays in. Okay. So this one's an hour. So I get out, I'm pissed. So I leave my luggage on the plane, and I go straight to the bar outside, right outside the gate. So I get a drink, chill, kill the hour, come in. As soon as I come back, everybody's got like this horrible look on their faces. And I'm like, what's wrong? Like, we're good. We got like 15 minutes. Like, they just did that. They just announced another delay 5 minutes ago. So it's 3 delays in. Finally, we waited another hour, took off. Then we landed, and we taxied for another 45 minutes because they couldn't get a gate. Like, it was
unbelievable.
A horrible flight. But you know what? Made it back. And we made it back with a lot of good content, man. Like, and a lot of good perspective on how the team is. So I'm grateful, bro.
Best trip ever. Worst way getting home. All right. That being said, a lot of people are in here now. It's time to get cracking on this Brandon Aiyuk situation. Latest rumor is Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 people. Ricky, by the way, is reported that he believes it's going to be the Steelers. And then you've got someone else who works with Draft Network or something like that, Draft Buzz, I think it is, saying that it's going to be the Steelers as well, and it's a done deal. I don't know what's going on. What are your thoughts about this whole thing? I mean, we were in camp together. We saw the handshake. We also heard the same things. We'll go over all of that here in a minute, but this latest deal sounds like he might be a Pittsburgh Steelers sooner than later. How are you feeling about it?
Not too good, not for the sentimental reasons, but simply because I'd be very curious to see what the deal is going to be as far as the compensation. I mean, let's be honest, man. This is the NFL, professional football. And right now, letting go of BA is not the best thing for the 49ers. I really don't think that it's anywhere close because it just doesn't make sense, right? What do the Steelers possibly have in the way of compensation for the 49ers post-draft, right? We can't really do anything with the picks for a whole year. So that means that we're already capitulating that BA for right now is a loss. And also, for me, it virtue signals that we're not in the window anymore if they're willing to make this type of move, because there's nothing that they could really get in the immediate future that could help us push forward to a Super Bowl. Now, if they're trying to spin Ricky Pearsall as a rookie that's going to be able to take a huge swath of the offense over, and the entire team is going to be able to ingratiate him as a leader and be able to be what BA was, then I got a river to sell you, because they tried that with Trey Lance. They tried that already. And the locker room did not accept the transplant. They rejected him. Okay. So I'm going to tell you this right now. This is not only wrong on organizational fronts, because it's just bad business or organizationally, but it's clunky from a NFL locker room standpoint, the chemistry, right? I don't even think it's fair for Ricky Pearsall, honestly, to be able to put that type of burden on him. When we were there for a week, he was slowly rolled out. So for me, it just doesn't make sense. I love the quote right here by Marco, Clutch Gene Sports. The deal is not done yet. I don't think that it gets done, because right now the Niners would just have to take a bath in compensation right now for not only just a player, but the time spent, Jess, the equity, all of the doghouse bull crap that we went through. Like, bro, this is something where you get the job done. And then one more thing, I'll close with this. We already understood that paying two receivers post $25 to $26 million a year was not feasible, especially when it comes time to paying Brock. So we knew that this decision was coming. If you look at this from the outside looking in, and you think about this with the right perspective, this is just a decision that we were going to have to make down the line anyway. Debo is already in his contract year, about to be a free agent. Do the right thing. Sign the kid. All right. He's obviously a man of principle. He knows that he knows his worth. And right about now, it's gotten to the point now where you can't say that this situation isn't going to bleed into our season if they don't get this handled by the end of the week. It's getting that dire right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys let me know if you hear an echo, because I'm hearing it every once in a while. I don't know if it's on your guys' end or just my end. I can deal with it as long as you guys aren't hearing it. So just let me know. But that being said, I'm going to walk through the timeline of everything. Obviously, as Marco's saying, deal's not done yet. Marco also knows that they are talking deal. So whatever you're hearing is not that far-fetched. Now, maybe they're saying that the deal's done, or some other people are saying the deal's done. Don't know that that's the case. Okay, I'm hearing bad echo now. Are you messing with something, Coach, on your end? All right, I'm muting, Coach. For some reason, I'm getting an echo, but I got you muted and I don't hear it anymore. So not sure what's going on. That being said, here's the way that everything broke down as far as I know. Late June, I hear that the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk essentially have a deal agreed to in principle. They're trying to work out the finer details. The goal of having that deal done was around the 4th of July. Now, you fast forward, obviously that deal doesn't get done, from what I understand. And I've put this stuff on Twitter with text messages kind of showing the path of all of this. I'm not saying you have to believe it all. I'm just letting you know what I've heard and then bringing everybody up to speed, and then we can figure it out together. So then the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk sit down to hammer out the deal. Some of the terms change on the 49er side because Brandon Aiyuk wants his guaranteed money paid out a certain way that the 49ers don't normally do, meaning the 49ers like to have a 2-year deal in place. Once that deal's in place, they like to have an out going into year 3, much like they've done with pretty much every other player. Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want that. So then the 49ers start trying to change the parameters of the deal. That's when Brandon Aiyuk requests the trade. Fast forward to last Wednesday. That's when the talks heat up of him going to the Cleveland Browns. Ricky reports something along those lines. Then I also hear that Brandon Aiyuk is meeting with Kyle Shanahan after practice. That's why you saw the bro hug, all that stuff. Everything went the way that it went. You also saw BA being very standoffish with John Lynch, and that's because he's not happy with him over the parameters of this deal changing. All right. So now, here we are, a week later. He's met with Kyle Shanahan. A deal is still not done with the 49ers, and trade talks continue to heat up. From what I understand, Aiyuk has basically said he doesn't want to be a Brown. He doesn't want to be a Panther. Those are two teams that have come forward that the 49ers have been willing to deal him to. He said no to both of them. So enter the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are having a conversation. That's what I've heard. Again, I don't know what's true. I'm not an insider. I'm just letting you know the timeline of everything that I've heard up until this point. And here we are, which means the Pittsburgh Steelers do make a lot of sense if that is the case. Man, I don't know what to make of this whole thing. I'm not sure if a deal is going to get done or not. I've been pretty steadfast since the beginning that I believe he's going to be a 49er. I don't know what to make of all this. I really don't.
Well, what really sucks about this, Jesse, is that if it is the Steelers, then the Niners really screwed themselves, because the Steelers have been talking about this like in April. Like they had already been dropping hints that, there was already buzz around this then, which means that if it does ultimately become Pittsburgh, I'm saying to myself, like, man, we absolutely, did you see that Bleacher Report?
No, what is it?
No trade in place for Aiyuk. 49ers and wide receivers still yet to find potential new home despite recent discussions. This just dropped just now.
Here's what we do know.
We're literally going through the news as we're doing the show, bro.
I know. But here's what we do know. And this is for everybody that says Aiyuk has no leverage. And I said this to you last week, which means he has all the leverage when it comes to where he wants to be traded. Because all he has to do is say, no, I'm not going to sign a deal with this team. And that team's going to be like, well, we're not going to give up all these assets if you're not going to be here long term. So this is where his leverage does come in. If they've decided to trade him or agreed to trade him, and he has agreed that he wants to get traded, now he owns all of the leverage when it comes to being traded. All of it. He chooses where he goes. This is where this gets interesting. So for everybody that's like, oh, he has no leverage. No, this is where the leverage comes in, because all he has to do is tell the new team, absolutely not, will not play for you. They're now out of the running. So he's going, if he gets traded, he's going to end up at a place that he very much wants to be, whether that's the Steelers, whoever. So keep that in mind.
So you think he's really going to force his way here to Washington?
I think he's going to force his way to wherever he wants.
I mean,
he's not going to say yes to just anybody. He doesn't have to.
Jesse, you don't think the Niners are inclined to actually just say, no, we're not trading you?
They can do that.
What do the Niners owe Brandon? Not to get toxic, but I mean, we're looking at, like, Brandon has, I'm listening to you, like, Brandon has all of the leverage. Like,
if they're going to trade him, he has all the leverage. Yes. They're clearly shopping him. They're clearly shopping him right now.
I mean, all right. So what does it look like with the Niners saying, look, we're shopping you because we want to see what those numbers are and be able to come back to the negotiation table with Brandon to actually show him, like, hey, we're not far off. We're not far off from what other teams are asking for. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot. All I'm saying is that this has a lot of sides. Okay. It's not all the BA side, even though it's just as legitimate as every other side. But all I'm saying is that we could talk about this in like a more like holistic fashion, instead of just, oh, BA's, if he gets in the trade zeitgeist, then, he could tell a team, I'm not coming. It's like, in what world do we at least use a little bit of like context to say, like, is that what BA is going to do? You're going to force yourself to a team that you want to go to? Like, that's what's happening? I think still, I don't understand. I don't understand where the Niners just all of a sudden just lay down and say, all right, we were late on negotiating with you. We were late on taking the deals that were given for you during the draft and pre-draft. We were late on trying to get the deal done while we were trying to get our rookie signed. Now we got Trent on us, right? We had to pay Christian, all right? And then in the middle of all of this, they say, yo, you want the trade, and we'll do that. We'll get rid of you. And what do we get? Like, that means that the Niners are just incompetent the entire way through all of this. That's if he gets traded, right? What are we gonna get for players? Like, we're not gonna get anything worth compensation. And also, if he gets traded, then this is the Niners honestly just understanding that, man, we're in it for tickets, bro. We know we're not going to the Super Bowl this year. We're not paying this guy. And this is them choosing Debo over BA, because now get a load of Debo next year. Now that BA's gone, you think that Debo's not going to fleece us? And he's going to sit here like, oh, yeah, you're really going to
ask for money.
With Ricky Pearsall over me? Like, come on now. This goes a lot deeper than you think. Pause.
No. It doesn't. I've got all that written down. I literally have all that written down. There's a lot to this. There's a lot of layers we can peel back. But JM617 saying Jesse was confident Debo was leaving. No, all I said is that it seems like that's what it's trending towards. But I never was like, oh, he's for sure gone. That being said, this whole time I have thought that Aiyuk was staying. So if you don't want to believe what I'm saying, then if anything, you should go with the opposite, which means he's being traded, right? Like if I'm wrong on all these things, which totally fine being wrong, I've said the whole time he's going to stay. All I'm saying is that in this scenario, we've got people in here saying, oh, he's got no leverage. That's not the case. I'm not saying the 49ers don't have any leverage either. They certainly could still say, hey, listen, we've taken offers from multiple teams. You've turned them all down. We're done trying to deal you. You're going to stay, and that's what it's going to be. We'll franchise tag you next year, and then we'll trade you. Like, absolutely, they can do that. But if they are agreeing to trade him, this is when he decides where he wants to go, period. He does. If he says no, they can't trade him because that team is not going to take him on and give up a bunch of assets knowing that he's not going to stay there long term.
Yeah. I mean, I just... From the organization's position, I just think that they would moving on from BA, especially with all that we know, like this has been like documented in the open. They come out with egg on their faces. They don't look good. They don't, and I just don't think that they would do that. There's no compensation right now that they could get that would be worth giving up a player like Brandon Aiyuk, and the only thing that sucks about this, and I mean, in a way I do empathize because sometimes picks do matter, but not after the draft, 1 month before the season. No, they don't. Got to wait a whole season on them damn things. No.
Listen, I'm waiting for T-Dub. I'm waiting for T-Dub to start his own show because he seems like he's always the smartest person in the chat every time he's in here. So why don't you tell us, T-Dub, how does he have no leverage? How can he not choose where he... I don't, dude, I'm getting mad echo. How can he not choose where he goes? If Cleveland steps forward and says, hey, 49ers, we're willing to give you X, Y, and Z, and the 49ers are like, hey, yes, we agree to that. And BA says, I'm not playing in fucking Cleveland. As soon as this year's over, I'm out. What do you mean? He absolutely can do that. And Cleveland is not going to give up a bunch of assets for a guy that doesn't want to be there. So yes, if he is going to get traded, he has first right of refusal. Period.
That's true.
He does. And anybody saying otherwise is full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, in this concept, like if you get him in the trade position, yes, because of where his contract stands, like nobody's going to take him on knowing that he's not dedicated to being there long term.
Nobody's going to take him on without a deal being in place. And if he's saying I'm not working out a long-term agreement with this team, then they're not going to give up assets to get him on board. It's going to be a trade and an immediate extension announcement. That's how the things are going to go. If he gets traded, it'll be, hey, breaking news, BA traded to X team. By the way, he's now got a new 4-year deal worth blah, blah, blah with the new team he's traded to. Otherwise, you end up in a situation like the Jets, who are idiots, by the way, who traded for Hassan Reddick thinking that he wasn't serious about wanting a deal. And guess what? They didn't get a deal in place right away. And guess what else? He's holding out still to this day. So you don't do what the Jets did. Nobody would do what the Jets did. Nobody's making that mistake, especially after watching it happen. It's just not the way it works, man. These teams aren't dumb. The 49ers aren't the only smart organization in the NFL. Sorry, they're not.
Yeah, I mean, and man, so what would the numbers really be that the Niners are not coming off of? Like, how is it, like? I think that this is bigger than money, man. This is personal. I don't see how the numbers are that far off. I mean, what would you say? 28, 55 a year?
It's not that
I mean, 28 a year,
numbers
55 guaranteed.
it's not that the numbers are that far off. It's the structure of the deal, from what I'm understanding. So it's some of the guarantees and it's how it's structured. BA wants a deal in place where he gets some guaranteed money deep into year 3 of a deal. And the 49ers don't like to do that. They like to have their way out after 2 years. They've always done that. And I think that's where the hangup is from what I've heard. So, I mean, I don't know how true that is, but it does make a lot of sense that Aiyuk would want. I got to mute you again. It does make a lot of sense based off of how the 49ers have always done contracts that they want that 2-year out. And then BA doesn't want them to have that out. And he wants more guaranteed money closer to that $50 million. So I think it's coming down to guaranteed money and when that money is distributed.
All right. So I want you to speak as the organization now. I know we can talk about everything that BA can do, which is honestly, that's all he really can do. That's his leverage. Look, I'm not going to the team that I want to go to. I'm not going to resign with you. I'm not going to put a deal in place. You're basically putting off all of your assets for a 1-year rental. So take me at your own peril. Basically, that's his, I'll blow it all up if I come. Like, which is such a horrible, like, who wants to have that on their name and their brand? Anyway, so tell me what the Niners, from your perspective, where do the Niners have leverage?
They could just say, "Hey, can you check to make sure where my audio is coming through? I can't hear you anymore."
Go ahead and talk now.
All right. We'll see. Yeah, I still hear myself. I'll just mute you. It's all good. Okay. So first things first, Notorious Gab. I don't think we didn't mean 50 million a year. I think we're talking about fully guaranteed, not a year. He's definitely not getting anything close to 50 million a year for sure. But where the 49ers have leverage is, like I said, all they got to do is, hey, we went to the, let's say what I'm hearing is true, right? Cleveland, Panthers, they've offered something that the 49ers have accepted, and Aiyuk said no to both. Okay. So now they're working out a deal with Pittsburgh. Let's say Pittsburgh then says, hey, we can't give you anything that you're willing to take, 49ers. Aiyuk wants to come here, but the 49ers aren't willing to accept any deal that we're willing to offer. We're at a stalemate. The 49ers then go back to Aiyuk and say, listen, we have 2 teams that are willing to make a deal for you. You don't want to go to them. The Steelers, a team that you are willing to go to, they're not giving us enough. So we're not going to let you walk scot-free. We're not going to let you walk for something we don't think benefits our organization. So here's your deal. You can either go to these 2 teams that you refused, or you can stay here under the 5th-year option or sign the deal that we've got for you. Those are your options. What do you want to do? And now it is up to Aiyuk. He's got to be like, well, do I really not want to be a 49er that bad that I'll get traded to another organization I don't want to play for just for the money? Or do I bet on myself and play on the 5th-year option? Or do I just accept the deal that the 49ers have in place and then we move forward? That's where the 49ers have leverage. And let's say Brandon Aiyuk says, you know what? I'm not doing any of it. I'll just sit out. Sure, sit out then. Guess what? We'll franchise tag you next year and we'll get rid of you. So yes, the 49ers do still have a lot of leverage. I'm not acting as if they don't, but acting as if, and you're not doing this, Coach, by the way, but acting as if Aiyuk has no leverage and where he gets traded to, that of course he does. Of course, even Schefter just said it today on Pat McAfee's show. Absolutely he does. Absolutely he has leverage. So they both have leverage in different ways. The 49ers have more leverage because they can pull the plug at any time. But if they are going to acquiesce and they are going to trade him, Aiyuk is going to choose roughly where he wants to go. And I'm sure there's probably 5 or 6 teams on his list that he's willing to play for. It's all about, can the 49ers get in return what they want also? And is that new team willing to give Aiyuk the deal that he's searching? There is a lot of moving pieces here, which I understand why it's taking as long as it is at this point.
I feel inclined that that's the way that this is going to go. I think the Niners have had enough about. I feel like the way that the deal has been like portrayed in the media is not good for the Niners. I really do believe that. I think that they are going to force him to play at $14 million a year. I don't think that they're going to sit there. I don't think they're going to be able to sit there and, get a deal done, especially before the season. I think he's just going to play for $14 million this year. I don't see anybody that's going to trade us anything where the fan base, forget me, where the fan base is going to feel like, yo, I feel great about this. Bad that BA left. We couldn't get the deal done, but essentially the compensation that we got a really good interior defensive tackle, or we got us a right guard out of this, or we got ourselves a starting center out of this. I don't see anybody that's willing to give that type of compensation, because that's what Brandon Aiyuk is worth. Brandon Aiyuk is worth a starter on this offense or defense. That's no less. Not 2 or 3 players that make up one because we get depth. No, like a one for at the very beginning of the compensation, there needs to be a 1-for-1 swap of a requisite player. And I don't see any team that's willing to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. God, dude, this echo's killing me. Rad, what's up, Rad? How you doing, bud? He says, is BA better than Debo? They're different players. I think Debo's a better overall football player, but BA is clearly the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Clearly the number 1 wide receiver. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dynamics to this. They're both very important to this offense. Bacon and Egg says, I think Brandon is having a difficult time. This is from Matt Mayoko, figuring out exactly what he wants. I think he requested a trade without really wanting to go through with it. I don't know about that necessarily. I think that he just doesn't want to go to a crap team either. So he does want his cake and eat it too, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think about that. I ain't gonna lie. There was a part of that where I was like, does he really know what he asked for? Because he actually showed up. But this close to the season, I think BA has been holding this one on for a year or two, where he's been kind of gearing up for just the, how like you have a family member that may be about to pass or something, that you just get like emotionally ready for what you already know is to come. I feel like in a certain sense, BA's already been doing his shadow work, so to speak. Like, know what this is going to feel like. I know how people are going to feel about me, and I'm ready to do this because I have all of the confirmation of why my position needs to be like this, because I have the way these guys have played in front of me, what they make, what they've been signed, and what this team is and what my worth is to it. Do you feel like there may be a part of BA that feels like he was throttled down during the Super Bowl because they were that confident that they would win? And there's a part of him that's really pissed off about that.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, he is. I mean, but to your point, he has been gearing up for this. You remember the tweet last April where he said, hey, I'm the 5th option on a team. I'm still going to get over 1,000 yards. I know how important I am to this team, roughly. Hardly ever tweets. And then there you go. And this isn't true either. He was open. There's film showing he was open. Brock Purdy says he wished he had hit him when he was open on a slant. He was definitely open. I mean, this also happened against the Rams. He was open all day, the whole time during that NFC Championship, and Jimmy couldn't get him the football. It happened a little bit again in the Super Bowl. He was open, just couldn't get him the football. So I don't know, man. I'm sure that he's super frustrated with how everything's played out. I think in his heart of hearts, though, I don't necessarily agree with Mayoko where he didn't know what he was stepping into. I do think in his heart of hearts, he would prefer to be a 49er, but he also knows that he only may have one chance at getting paid, and he's got to do what he's got to do. So the way he's looking at it is he wants to get paid, but he also wants to remain competitive because he doesn't want to look like an idiot getting traded to, the Raiders or something like that, a team that's never going to compete. So he's trying to get both, and that's going to be really, really hard to do because there's only so many teams that are going to be willing to trade for him and give the 49ers an offer that they're looking for. He has to say yes to one of them if he eventually wants to go, or he's going to have to bet on himself for another year.
I mean, I'm riding with the organization on this one. I think that they'll try to figure out a way how to get it done. But I will say this, just being real, the Niners do have a little bit of this in them, right? They didn't have to let go of Trey. They didn't have to. But because of how things were going and the way the fan base felt, and because I don't think the fact it wasn't even all of that, it's the fact that they had egg on their faces for how the situation went. I feel as though that they just wanted to get as far away from this as possible. And they moved trade to Dallas when they didn't have to. And I feel like a little bit of them is exactly how we are as a team. It's a microcosm of how we are. We can't just go along diligently handling our business. It's always got to be front running, performative. If we don't feel good about the win, then all of a sudden things start falling off. And if we get seen struggling or get seen trying to, traverse through a difficult endeavor with other people watching us, I feel like we get a little bit, shell shocked and we make bad moves. It's in our head coach. It's in our organization. It's how we move players. It's what we do with certain players. When we all look at, one thing is that I know there's people in the chat right now like, coach is saying that the organization is going to get it done. But there's kind of like a catch-22 to that. Them getting it done in certain instances with their stars is them capitulating. They bended the knee to Debo. They bended the knee to Nick Bosa. So in a way, them getting it done is them ultimately giving the player what they want anyway. So yeah. I don't know what to say right now, honestly, because for them to want to trade BA, and them not get it done, it's them. I think it's them honestly looking at it saying, well, we're riding with Debo. We're riding with, Ricky Pearsall, which I think is retarded. But it's also saying that our window is closed, man. We're good enough to just keep winning. But as far as a Super Bowl is concerned, we're not really interested in that right now. And while all of this is happening, Trent Williams is still not signed. Trent Williams is still not here. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Gregorius Greg says, does BA have a no trade clause? No, not many players in the league do, but he essentially does here in a sense where he can just refuse to go sign a deal with whatever team is willing to trade for him. And so I've heard that that's happened with the Panthers and Browns. I don't know that that's true. I'm just relaying what I've heard. But yeah, I mean, if a crappy team comes forward and the 49ers are like, hey, we're willing to accept this deal, BA, all you got to do is work out a long-term deal with this team. And he says, no, I don't want to play for them. Then that team's not going to trade with the 49ers. So in a roundabout way, yeah, he does have a no trade clause when it comes to that. He absolutely can choose. So let's talk about this for a second. I mean, let's talk about the implications on what a BA trade would look like, because it's not just him getting traded. Okay, what are you getting in return? Certainly that will be a part of it, but it's impossible to know what that is right now. But here's what we can say. Let's assume he does get traded for a second, whether we believe it or not, with all the rumors going on. If we're going to assume that, you realize that Bosa is the only first rounder that has been drafted in this Shanahan-Lynch era that has made it to a second contract with the 49ers. The only first rounder. Man. That's wild.
Wow, that's a bar. I didn't know that.
The only one. Then, if you add in the fact, let's talk about the impact on Purdy. 39% of Purdy's completions over 20 yards this last year went to Brandon Aiyuk. Purdy had the third lowest off-target rate on passes 15 plus yards when he targeted Brandon Aiyuk. And then Brandon Aiyuk was 5th in receptions of over 20 yards this year in the whole NFL, even though Purdy ranked 21st in attempts over 20 yards, meaning Brandon Aiyuk was almost a guarantee. If the ball was being thrown his way over 20 yards, it was almost a guaranteed completion. And he did all of that on low volume. What impact does that have on this offense? Because I think a lot of people are frustrated with Brandon Aiyuk, and you hear a lot of people saying things like, oh, he's not that important to this offense. Oh, he was made by Brock Purdy and all these things. Okay. But there is some proof here that a lot of people just check.
Brandon Aiyuk was made by Brock Purdy?
Yes. I've seen it plenty of times. So that being said, if Brandon Aiyuk's not on this team, they don't have a for sure deep threat. He was the deep threat, and all the stats show that. So what do they do going forward without him?
I mean, you know what's dope about actually going and seeing the guys like practice and go see them play is that it kind of shapes it really shapes your perspective. And before we went to camp, I got to be honest, like I was looking at this from kind of a Sunday to Sunday perspective. Like, well, BA doesn't get the ball that much on Sundays, you know. I see the way the team is ran, and then a lot of the stuff is like dead numbers, right? You go back and look at old games, or you go back and look at statistics, and you're saying like, oh, well, look what he did here versus what the offense put out. But there is nothing like going out there and seeing the team without him. They need him. And it completely, I mean, we're having a conversation on what we think is going to happen because we're trying to use like a little bit of logic on top of a little bit of our opinion on top of some of the facts that we think are not facts, but it's just innuendo from media, right? So we're trying to put all of that together, but nothing speaks louder than seeing it in the flesh. And I'm gonna tell you, man, outside of like, the gamesmanship of what I think the Niners would do and what we think BA is going to do, if you just look at the team one for one, Jesse, he's worth exactly how much money he's asking. And they should pay him that money because that offense is completely inept without him. The receiving group is different without him. The running game is different without him. How the defense plays the offense is completely different without Brandon Aiyuk on the field. It's glaring. The receivers cannot get open, right? There's certain guys who aren't even getting the work that they need from the skill set that we have in the receiver group because BA is not practicing. I don't see what Brock is going to be able to do with Debo being the de facto number one guy on this offense when he can't run the full route tree because we've seen it. That's not us hating. That's not us, using innuendo. No, my man. We literally seeing you not be able to get open. Okay. So they got to pay him. And if they don't pay him, then we got to just be real with ourselves and understand that no matter what we do for now, our offensive line and our receiving group is not Super Bowl quality, not even playoff quality. If we don't get those two guys back, full stop.
Around the NFL 29 minutes ago said Brandon Aiyuk is more likely to be traded than sign an extension with the 49ers. So, or whatever that's freaking worth.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta. It's train. Oh, hold on. Bacon and eggs. It's training camp, but it's still looking at the team for what they have, bro. Like you can't. Everybody's in training camp right now, bro.
Listen, let's go here real quick. Let's go here. Let's just look at the facts. Let's pull training camp out of it. Did Debo struggle to get open versus press man coverage in the Super Bowl? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Did Ricky Pearsall struggle in college to get open versus press man coverage? Yes or no? Okay. So if we see that in training camp and we know that's the pass, why would we not believe that? No, he didn't. Go watch the film.
It's not happening, bro. Like
So there you go.
we saw the team. And then not for nothing, he's a leader. You know what I'm saying? They know who he is. They know there's a confidence. There's a man, you feel the energy, bro. Like you literally feel it when they are flat as hell. When they were going through that BA stuff, I know it sounds hokey, right? But you felt a damper on the practice. You felt it. Like there was nobody really amped up. Everybody was going through the motions. BA walked on the field and there was this electric jolt of energy. He was a lightning rod walking through the middle of that field. Everybody picked up, everybody finished a drill harder. You started seeing guys bouncing around. I'm telling you, man, this is a human sport, bro. You can't, they're not robots, bro. They got to sign him because even, all right, they don't get it done. The mourning period of them trying to fake like they're going to win a Super Bowl without this guy is going to be ridiculous because they know they're not going to win without him.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to get something.
It's the same thing if CMC walked out the door. It's the same thing if Fred Davis walked out. I mean, Fred, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like if Fred Warner walked out. Yeah, like I think that's the real conversation, is it not? The real conversation is BA wants to be considered as one of those guys. Right? Kyle came in and made it happen because Trent's contract was in the balance. They got it done. They know what he's worth to the organization. They moved heaven and earth and they got it done. That's what this is really all about. BA's pissed off that they just won't show like, hey, man, I'm not going to be some second fiddle stepchild in this whole situation. I played my role. I did what I was supposed to do. I'm ascending. Now, I don't care what you do on the play sheet, but you're going to have to pay me like I'm the rest of one of these guys. I'm not going to be an apology fixation on this offense where you just use me as you know, a clear out guy or to get the real things done in the passing offense. But but let's not forget I am the passing offense. I think this is more what this is about. BA wants to be considered as one of the core.
Yeah, absolutely. And as he should, by the way. Jameer says, is it true that Pearsall's struggling to separate in camp? Yeah, and press man, he struggles. But here's the thing. College players, their first year in the NFL, whatever they struggled with in college, whatever they were good at in college, usually translates to year one of their career. So it shouldn't be a surprise that he struggled against NFL caliber corners to separate in press man situations. But that doesn't mean that he can't be effective. That doesn't mean he's a bust. That doesn't mean he can't eventually improve on that. But usually it's not going to happen during year one because he is trying, trying to get drafted by a team. Then he's trying to get in shape. Then he's trying to learn a playbook. So changing what you were good at in college or bad at in college is really, really hard to do year one. Year two, you could probably see him make a leap here. That being said, if Ricky Pearsall is your slot wide receiver, you can manufacture touches to him. You also can almost guarantee that as a slot wide receiver, let's say BA's traded, you put Jennings on the outside, you put Debo on the outside, you can move Pearsall in motion. And if he's a slot wide receiver, corners usually aren't going to get hands on him. You're going to give him an option for a two-way go, and you're going to give him an option to not have hands put on him, and he's going to be effective there. So you can still be an effective player. He can still be a very effective player this year. I just don't think you want to put him on the outside against number one type corners and ask that he replaces Brandon Aiyuk and does all the things that Brandon Aiyuk did, because he's not going to be able to do that year one. It's just not his game. He's not good at the same things that Brandon Aiyuk is good at.
Yeah, I mean, it's borderline unfair to ask him to be what Brandon Aiyuk is, right? But then you have to be real with yourself and say, all right, if we can all say that it's unfair to ask Ricky Pearsall to do what Brandon Aiyuk does in the offense, then we also have to realize that the Niners reached. They reached, right? Because a first round draft pick is a bona fide starter. All right. A first round draft pick is a starter. All right. And we could have just got a Donnie Mitchell and really kept it 1,000 and been like, this is our replacement. If the Niners were really going to do this, It's like they don't even do bad the right way. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, if you're really going to go get a replacement, get a replacement. Like, don't get, it's almost like they almost expected BA to just kind of roll over. Like, yeah, we'll get a guy, something that, in a way, Ricky Pearsall may have been something where they thought, all right, BA is going to take this deal. We're not paying Debo. Definitely not paying Debo. Maybe Ricky Pearsall will take over the new Debo role once we move on because they're not going to pay Debo next year. Now, they're in a position right now where Debo is not going to, if we move on from BA, bro, Debo is going to be unhinged. In a way, we're only getting the best out of Debo because Brandon is so goddamn good. And it was just getting embarrassing at one point where it was just like, bro, are you going to try to be a receiver? I mean, the guy that came in after you is kind of outplaying you. He's kind of outworking you right now. He's out professionalizing you. That's not even a word, but you know what I mean.
We're
He's
still going to get the best.
than you.
We're still going to get the best of Debo because Debo wants to get paid after this year. So really all you're doing is rolling the problem. If you get rid of BA, you're rolling the problem over to Debo next year, who's also going to want to get paid. And guess what? He's 2.5 years older than Aiyuk or whatever. So you're going to have the same problem next year with Debo, who's going to want big time money, assuming he comes off of a good year. And he's 2.5 years older. Why would you do that? Why not just pay Aiyuk a little bit more, or do what you got to do to get the deal done? We'll see how it plays out. Yaz says Pittsburgh is not willing to give up anything we want. That's a possibility. Yaz also says, Coach, please make it make sense.
All right, so I have one question, though. What do we want that the Steelers could possibly give us? Honestly.
I don't even know.
Cam Hayward, 30-plus-year-old guy? Like,
offensive lineman? They just drafted 3.
They got Zach Martin.
They just drafted 3. They drafted 1 last year.
Bro. So now we're trading for offensive linemen in the draft where we could have
just drafted 1. Yeah, I know. That would be crazy. I agree. I agree with that. Corey Soto says, if this report does turn out to be true, then I rest my case with the he has no leverage people. Bravo to BA. Good for you. Niners bungled this. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I don't want to say they've bungled it yet, but actually, the fact that we've even gotten here and we're a week into August, yeah, I can say that they've kind of bungled it already. It shouldn't have gotten to this point anyways. It really shouldn't have. Niner Matt says, Aiyuk's TikTok bio says PS with the #1 medal. I don't even know what that means. Are we saying Pittsburgh Steelers? How long has it been there for? I just checked it out. I can confirm it does say that. But has that been there for a year? Has that been there for a day? I don't know. I don't know what that means. But good investigative journalism right there by you. I don't know what it means. If you can let me know. Brother Bob says Niners. Yeah, go ahead.
They bungled this. They did.
Yeah, no matter what they did at this point.
No matter what happens, they bungled this. That is the perfect term of phrase. Like, it is just so bad. Like, they waited. They should have gave this kid the money. And they have leverage, but they're going to look like the evil empire leaning on him. They're going to look horrible just leaning on the player. After a while, the fans, it's going to be such a bad taste to the mouth of not the fans, but the players. They can't be seen doing this to players while other guys are looking at this like, bro, all right, not for nothing. I know I'm good with you guys, but shit, is this your limit? Like, this is what you guys are willing to do? He doesn't want to be here. It's weird. Get him out of here.
Matt Barrows just tweeted out the 49ers are discussing a potential Brandon Aiyuk trade with multiple teams. So there you go. There you go. They're trying to get the best deal they can get for him, and Aiyuk is trying to go to a team that he wants to actually play for. So we'll see how this thing plays out.
This is, you know what this is showing in real time? This is showing all of the leaks that the Niners supposedly don't have.
They don't have any leaks, right? The Niners don't talk. What happened to all that?
This is showing all of the supposed leaks. I feel like they're having conversations. Kyle walks out of the room and says, I have to use the bathroom. And then a tweet comes out. Then John says, hey, man, I got to go get something to eat, man. I'll be back. And then something comes out on NFL Network. Brandon says, hey, man, you know what? I got to go get some gas in my car. And then something comes out on Twitter and TikTok. Like, everybody has their own media that they like go off into the corner and talk to, and we just don't know who's who. Like, and it's all coming in different directions.
Absolutely. Brother Bob says Niners incompetent. Welcome to the late show, bro.
Right.
Gregorius Greg, member for 3 months. Nice, nice. Appreciate you, Gregorius Greg. Chance says, I think BA has wanted to leave for a while now. He has seen some things that he probably didn't like. Doghouse, Garoppolo, Lance, Ward, and Armstead. Plus, he wants to be a true number one wide receiver. Yeah, you might be right about that. And this is the hard part. Like, whether he gets traded, whether he signs a deal with the 49ers, whether he ends up playing on the 5th-year option, we'll never fully know the truth. But we'll be able to connect the dots enough to say, all right, well, clearly he wanted to play for this team if he gets traded. Clearly the 49ers screwed the pooch waiting this long to trade him, especially if he ends up with a team that was rumored to have wanted him at the draft. Because if they get just draft picks for him, that would be worst case scenario. Coach, if they trade him and get only draft picks, future draft picks, that would be the biggest disaster. Can you agree with that one?
I completely agree. It's what I led with. I mean, if they would, let's just say they made
especially to a team that wanted to trade for him during the draft this year.
Let's just say they made the deal. All right. They make the deal. And then we've got brand new shiny toys as rookies all over the offensive defensive line. Right. Brie's gone. We picked up a Donnie Mitchell. Right. We got our guy and we're off and running. We've almost kind of like turned back the hands of time on the team. We've handled the Trent situation seemingly in one fell swoop. The defensive line is rejuvenated from moving off of what seems to be a guy that we knew was falling apart with Eric Armstead, and also being able to get a guy and possibly a Ruka Rororo, a guy who could be able to bring us that size that we've lost in Javon Kinlaw. I mean, we could have did so much if we would have just made the move. So really, I want BA to stay here because I'm a fan and I'm fond of him. I want him to be here for all of the equity, the time spent. And just he's a beautiful player to watch. I think he fits perfectly with our offense, all of the things that But if we were gonna move, we should have did it in a way that like rip the Band-Aid off, man. Just do it and get better. Now being able to have picks going into next year is just like, all right, bro. Like, so BA got exactly what he wanted, and then we ingest the blow for the entire season, and then fake like we're gonna win, like we're gonna try to win a Super Bowl. It's disingenuous.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if they trade him for future picks, this team can't say they're all in anymore. They can't, because they're not better than they were last year. They're just not. Now, the nice thing is that they can still make a trade come deadline that can get them something that can maybe put them right back into that. But as far as in the moment, if they trade him for future picks, they're not better than what they were last year. And that's not a team that I believe can win a Super Bowl. So we'll see how it plays out. Before I get to the rest of these super chats, I do want to shout out the sponsor of today's show, Underdog Fantasy. Link is in the description. It's also pinned to the top of the chat. Promo code LSS to claim up to $250 cash back based on what you deposit and your free pick. Basically, you're going to get a pick that is almost a guaranteed win. It'll be something like LeBron James will score a half a point in the next basketball game he plays in. Or so-and-so is playing today as a pitcher. He's going to throw at least one pitch. Those are the types of things that you get. So you get your pick plus up to $250 in cash back when signing up with Underdog Fantasy. You can play fantasy football. You can play more or less. Whatever floats your boat, they've got it. Shout out Underdog for being a sponsor of today's show. All right. All day, every day, Kim says, shouldn't Kyle in the front office finally get blamed? Let's see what happens. I don't want to go full blame game until we know what happens. Because if they end up trading Aiyuk, but they get something really sweet in return, what are we blaming them for? You know what I mean? Like, they held tight. We can say that up to this point, it hasn't been great. They've certainly effed it off, or so it seems. Let's see what they actually get, though, before we go too crazy with the blame game. And let's make sure that he gets traded too. Let's also do that.
That's fair.
Nick says, send him to the Steelers for Troy Fontenot straight up. I don't know that I would be mad at that. But the problem with that also, though, is you can't guarantee that Troy's going to be a good player. You can't. He hasn't taken a snap in the NFL. Great, very good prospect for sure. Love him as a prospect, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a good player. Jamin Sotomayor says, best content from training camp in years. I wish I could bankroll y'all to do 100% of camp. It's not about the money and doing it, and I appreciate that, Jamin. It's more about the time spent away from the family. That's a hard one. That's a tough one. Like selling to my family that I'm going to be gone for 2+ weeks, not an easy one. It was hard being gone for a week, if I'm being real. So not the easiest thing to do, but I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for enjoying the content, man. I think most people did. Maybe a few didn't, but we definitely did it for y'all.
I mean, one thing is that we're doing it next year. That's for sure.
Oh, that's definitely going to happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Chris says, guys, the rumor in Pittsburgh is the Steelers sent outside linebacker Highsmith and left tackle Dan Moore Jr. for Aiyuk and a 6th-round pick. I think both sides win in this. Ooh.
It'll show that Trent's not coming back.
Would it though? Oh God, Trent doesn't come back.
I mean, Dan Moore is 25 years old.
I don't even want to get into that.
No, hey, now think about it. It's time for us to eventually. It's gonna be closing time, and you got to pay your tab. You can't party all night. All right. So if we were to move off BA, pick up a outside linebacker, which we need, right? Because we don't know what's happening with Dre. All right.
Well, and he's more of a pass rusher too.
Right. Get a tackle, which we need. Okay. Younger. All right. Which can fit into the offense. All right. Trent is a 101 guy, but let's be honest. We need a guy that can fit inside the offense as well. Right. And we get remarkably cheaper as a team, and we get younger. We get a legit guy that can help out with the pass rush, and we have a more athletic guy on defense, and we get a pick out of it, and it's a late pick. So you can, knock yourself out. You get another late pick. You love them. So, hey, man.
Not that PFF is gospel, but he did allow 8 sacks last year. Dan Moore. God, this echo is fucking killing me. Hold on. He did allow 8 sacks last year. He had a pass blocking grade of 39.7 and a run blocking grade of 57.8, an overall grade of 51.8. So again, not that PFF is gospel, but that ain't too good. We just
gave Colton McKibben $7 million. Dan Moore is like, he's not good, but I don't know, man. I'm just trying. I'm trying my best to see it their way. We're screwed, bro. We're screwed.
Now Highsmith's a good player.
I can't do it, man. Nah, we're screwed, bro. But the tackle pick, it's not. We're screwed, bro. I hate to do this, but like, what are we gonna get? Honestly, bro. They're not. I like that. Jets gang. The run.
He's a Jets fan, of course he says.
How did we get here?
I don't know. But I'll say this: if we trade him and don't get anything good in return, then I will agree with they're cooked in the first week probably, because I don't know who the hell's going to get open against that defense. I'm not really sure.
I feel like Adrian Bada, man. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm getting cooked right now.
Trip Aces says, I feel like the Niners are being nerfed. Oh, man. Unbelievable.
We're getting cooked. Bro. What are they going to do, Jesse?
Let's see what happens before. Well, I mean, we're going to talk all about it. Today's show, by the way, and Notorious Gab, no, this isn't going to be a thing going forward. Sometimes we just have to zig when we're supposed to zag based off of the way things are going, both personally and then what's going on in the news. But what I can say is we were supposed to talk all about training camp. This was supposed to be a stream where we recap training camp and all the things that we learned in training camp and how this team's going to be. But I mean, how can you not talk about the Brandon Aiyuk situation when this is really what's dominating the NFL news right now? I mean, it has to be talked about. Has to be talked about.
100%, man. Like right now, I feel like this is like a cloud over our team. You know, like this has to get rectified, or they can't even officially start the season.
All day, every day, Kim doubles down and says, "Okay, now is it time to blame Kyle?"
Dog,
if that's
yo,
the
like,
trade, then yes, I agree. It is time to blame them. But no, it hasn't happened yet. All day, every day, Kim. It has not happened yet. Okay.
He will never get blamed, bro. He will never get blamed. It's not happening.
But Kenny, what does that mean? If we lost BA, we'll be fine. What does that mean? We'll be fine. That doesn't.
Not great.
We're not a Super Bowl team anymore. It's not a Super Bowl team without BA.
Hold on, but this is my thing. Is like, Kenny, why are you? So are you at least admitting that the window is closed? Because right now you saying, but still making the playoffs. Like, so are you happy with that? That's the question, right? Are you okay with the Niners moving on from Trent and BA and willing to give them a mulligan on this season because of that and say, like, look, man, we possibly may eke into the playoffs. It's not going to be pretty, but, you know, Brock could get another year under his belt, you know, and Ricky Pearsall will be able to push through his rookie season. Defensively, you know, we're going to be okay, but not elite to what we – I mean, do you have – basically my question is do the Niners faithful have the chops to be pragmatic? Or is it always Super Bowl or bust? Because that type of comment says that you're willing to come off of this a little bit and say, you know, nah, we're not Super Bowl. We're not Super Bowl team this year. You know, playoffs, maybe. I'd be happy. Are you willing to do that? That's my question.
Yeah, I'm not.
Exactly. Look, hey, you Super Bowl or bust. It's literally right what I said. Like, the fans do not have the stomach to meet in the middle. No way. It's all or nothing.
Playoffs? No, I'm not okay with just a play. If they get bounced in the divisional round, I'll be pissed. They have to make it to a Super Bowl. Bare minimum. They really have to win it. Like, this would be insane.
Why?
The all-in year.
They don't have if they're moving in this offense without BA, why do they have to win it? Why? What makes us so special that we don't have to have the players that we need in this offense to win? So why? Why do we have to win if BA is not here?
No, if BA is not here, they're not going to.
They're not winning without these guys. To flat out, we saw camp. It's average. The offense is average. Come on, man. Hey, let's give it up, bro. We ain't hiding. Look, it's average. It's not dynamic. They can barely run the ball. Receivers can't get open. What was the key? Sorry for cutting you off, Jesse. What was the theme of camp when we were there? What was the theme of camp? Coverage sacks.
Yeah.
Coverage sacks. Every day, coverage sacks. They can't get open. So
you're right. They do. Or they need to get something really good in return. Like, that has to happen. So
you're scared, get a dog, man. They better do something. It ain't look.
Richie says it doesn't matter if we're okay. Jed is okay with making the playoffs, and that's all that really matters. Winning the Super Bowl is just extra. Yeah, but he knows what it takes to win a championship, right? That's what he said. I don't know.
Yeah, this is that's perfect. He said it. It doesn't matter if we're okay. Jed is okay with making the playoffs. And that's all that really matters. He just wants to make the playoffs. They think that it's all house money once they make the playoffs. It's cream after that. It doesn't matter what happens. Hey man, anything can happen in these things. These are one game tournaments, man. As long as we make it, we get past we hit our KPIs and we get all of our metrics, we're good.
Cooled in Silence says no Super Bowl would make Purdy cheaper, I would imagine. You guys are making conjecture on that Pearsall and Cowing will do nothing in the offense and are essentially calling them busts already. That's not true. It basically, by saying that Pearsall and or Cowing aren't near as good as BA at this moment in their career is not calling them busts. It's just saying what it is. They're not Brandon Aiyuk, not yet. Now, maybe they'll be really good. Maybe they'll be better than Aiyuk. I don't know what their career is going to hold, but I can confidently say that neither of them are near Brandon Aiyuk as rookies. Cowing Kenny hasn't even been on the field yet. All right. And
I didn't even want to say that.
I watched training camp last year and I watched it this year. BA was the best player on the field, period, last year in training camp. Not the best wide receiver, not had a flash here or there. He was the best player on the field for both sides of the ball, and it wasn't particularly close. And I can tell you that right now, Pearsall is nowhere near that. Not even close. Doesn't mean he's going to be a bust, but players as rookies don't make impacts always the way that you hope that they will. Both can be true here. Nobody's calling Ricky Pearsall a bust. Nobody's calling Jacob Cowing a bust. And quite frankly, where Cowing got drafted, he can't be a bust. He was a late round pick. He's either going to be good or he's not. And if he's not good, that's not a bust. He was drafted too late to be considered a bust. Yeah. But he can't even get on the field. And that's the fact.
He's not even out there.
So that's what it is.
It sucks, bro. I don't know, man. We'll probably know something this week. Ultimately, I mean, it's getting it's getting crazy. Like
maybe I felt like we would have known weeks ago. I felt like last Wednesday we were gonna hey, last Wednesday we got the handshake on the field. We hear he's being shopped to Cleveland. We have an off day. We're gonna know by Friday. Nope.
Did we not know? Did we not think that we were the luckiest some bitches alive to be at practice on Friday because BA was going to sign and we were going to be there after their day off? Did we not fetishize that moment? Like, dog, if he shows up on Friday, I don't give a fuck if they tell us to put our phones away or not. I'm pulling my shit out, bro. Pause. I don't care, bro. Son, it came and went like a fart in the wind, bro. It sucked.
It's crazy.
Yeah, bro. I don't.
Okay, so bacon and eggs. It's unfair for me to say that they're not going to have the impact that BA had. BA just last year, who led the league in yards per reception, led the league in efficiency and downfield targets, had 1,300 yards. Okay. I guess it's unfair for me to say. Then I'm being unfair. But I'll promise you that without Aiyuk on this team, Pearsall nor Cowing will get 1,300 yards in this offense. Call me crazy. Call me crazy and say I'm being unfair. I'm letting you know right now, as rookies, neither are going to get 1,300 yards. I know, it's crazy. It's a wild take, and it's completely unfair of me. It's called being realistic.
It's not happening, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know, Jess. Right now, I'm deflated. They're gonna keep him here as a hostage, or they're gonna move him for compensation that is not gonna be good enough. Right now, you would have to say that the Niners are in a lose-lose situation. Ultimately, they would have to let him go. It's not going to be able to work in the locker room, holding a guy for money that doesn't want to get played, to play for money that he doesn't want to get paid. Like, that's just a bad omen on the entire locker room. Nobody wants to see you doing business like that with a player. it bodes horribly for the organization. So ultimately, they are gonna have to play ball if they don't give him his money. They're gonna have to give him his money.
Steve O says Pickens was yard per reception leader. You're right. He did. He eked him out in the final week. You're absolutely right about that. But top 2, top 3, whatever he ended up being, he was right there. It was like by 0.1 yards or something crazy like that. All right. Listen, the whole thing is interesting. We'll see what ends up coming of it. It might end up, the trade happens and it might end up being something that we can look at and be like, okay, I see a path here. They're still Super Bowl contenders. I like this trade. It really helps them now. So I don't want to go like sky is falling all the way, especially before we sign off, because we just don't know what the other side is going to hold. We don't know.
Nothing is done. Nothing's done.
Nothing is
Still
done.
hold
Exactly.
on. Still hold on.
Exactly.
Nothing is done. So, I mean, I'm hoping they still get it done. I just want them to get it done, man. Like, enough. Just get it done, please.
No, I agree with that. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But right now, it doesn't look good. And right now, it is hard not to be frustrated as a 49er fan, knowing that we're here in August and this is the situation that's presented when a deal should have been done long ago, whether he was being traded or whether he was being signed. If he was going to be traded, it should have happened at the draft. If he was going to be signed, it should have happened by now. So the fact that we're here is definitely frustrating. We'll see how it ends up playing out. That being said, that is the show for today. Unless he ends up getting traded, then I'll find a way to be back on, as I'm sure Coach will on his channel. Much love to everybody that showed up in the chat today. Really, really, really appreciate each and every one of you. This doesn't happen without y'all. Thank you, Coach, for joining me on a different time. Until tomorrow, assuming he doesn't get traded, I'll be back with Sunil. We'll talk then. Much love, y'all. Peace.